Zig Ziglar, one of the great salesmen in American business literature, once said that you can create anything in the world that you want if you just help enough people create what they want. And another way of saying that is you can be paid whatever you want to be paid if you just figure out how to create enough value for the people that are going to pay you. Now, one of the big kind of divide points that I experienced in the growing of hourly wages, because I started when I was 17 making $10 an hour, and then it was a big deal to go from $10 an hour to $12 an hour to 14 to 18 to 20 to 25 to 30, 35, 40, 45, jump to 55, jump to 65, 75. Around that point, though, I noticed that people were uncomfortable paying for things on an hourly basis. If I wanted to keep this trajectory of accumulating more money per unit of time spent, I needed to offer fixed cost bids. Now, this was a huge jump because now I could make $100 an hour, $200. I've made as much as $1,000 an hour doing fixed cost bids. And no one's going to pay me $1,000 an hour, if I just say that's my payment schedule. Whatever it is you want me to do, weeding, whatever, $1,000 an hour, you've got me. That's not how it works. And in fact, I have to figure out how to create extraordinary value. Now, one of the values is reducing risk. So fixed cost bids reduce risk. Another value is certainty. The certainty, the trustworthiness that I'm leaving satisfied clients. Now, that comes from Yelp, it comes from references and things of that nature. Another value is perceived importance. Writing a landscape book, I've written 2, creates a perception of value and importance in our culture. Another is talent. Another is getting work done on time and early. Another is being able to articulate things in a language that helps the client focus on what's really important to them. Because they may want a garage or they may want a water feature, but what they really may want is a relaxing experience leading to a pleasant sound that makes them happy. And so they're hiring me for a water feature, but what they're really hiring me for is a low-stress process of leading to a beautiful sound that makes them happy. They're buying happiness. Everyone is buying their path to perceived happiness. Now, if I can bring certainty that they will be happy with the process and the result, that's far more valuable than just saying the water feature will be like this, but you may or may not be happy with the process of getting there, and you may not be happy with the result. Now, similarly, another value is enjoyment of the process. Another value is reliability. How much can I depend that I'm not going to regret following your lead? How much can I depend on not looking foolish? Because if my friends come over and talk about their landscaper or know something that I don't know, and it turns out that I did the wrong decision, that I trusted you and it wasn't right, how much can I avoid not looking foolish? Because if I can look good, if I can feel important, if I can enjoy the process, and what about real estate value? If I work with you and do this thing, will the value of my home go up more than I'm paying you? Well, if you're talking to a strictly, investment-savvy real estate agent or a real estate investor in a home, and you alone can add $100,000 to their home because you alone have the analysis capability, have the ability to pull that off within the schedule. Well, if you charge $50,000 to make $100,000 of value to that home, it doesn't matter if you're making $1,000 an hour, $2,000 an hour, or 50 cents an hour. You are valuable to that investor. And so part of the job of creating value is to figure out the path of grace. What is the least amount of energy, time, money, and natural resources needed to create the most amount of value and perceived value for a given client? Because that's what justifies making a higher rate per unit of time that you're spending. That's what increases your value. Now, if you can do that for lots of people, you become incredibly valuable, and you become, there's techniques of leverage. You can do that for some people. You are incredibly valuable if you do that in very rich ways. So one way or another, the path to value is creating more and more value for the person you're dealing with. And before you can begin that journey clearly with a given individual, you have to ask questions. You have to understand what it is that that client values. In my questionnaire, 1 to 10, how much is adding real estate value important to you? 1 to 10, how much is benefiting the environment important to you? Because every person has a unique set of values. And your value to that person is not how well you do your values, but how well you can implement a project in a way that's consistent with their values.